What's good? It's Woog. I wanted to talk a little bit about Gervonta Davis's majority draw with Lamont Roach. Now, the idea that this was a draw in itself was shocking given the betting odds. Gervonta Davis was like a minus 1,600 favorite. Lamont Roach was like a plus 1,000. Nobody was giving Lamont Roach a chance in this one, whether you're talking about the Chris Mannix, Keith Idec types, or former fighters, or any of the online boxing analysts, YouTubers and such. I didn't see anybody saying, yeah, I'm going to go with Lamont Roach on this one. So the fact that this was a majority draw in itself is pretty shocking. But that's not even half the story. There was a moment in the ninth round where out of nowhere, Gervonta Davis takes a knee. It was like shortly after a punch too. I mean, I know a lot of people are making it sound like, oh no, it was just kind of idle. They were standing around and then out of nowhere he took a knee. No, there was a punch landed. And then Gervonta Davis takes a knee, and Steve Willis, the referee, starts to count. Gervonta Davis is jogging over to his corner. His cornerman wipes his face with a towel. And then Gervonta Davis turns back around to the referee, Steve Willis, like, okay, I'm ready. And then he started explaining something. And then Steve Willis is like stopping the count now and saying, don't do that because it looks like a knockdown. It's like, nah, MFer, that is a knockdown. Technically, officially, legally, that is a knockdown. This, again, was ruled a majority draw. If that was adjudicated the way it was supposed to, this would have been a win for Lamont Roach. And yeah, kudos to him for even getting a majority draw because it was a close fight. This wasn't Tank's greatest showing at all. And Lamont Roach did so many things effectively. He was counterpunching effectively. He was pushing the pace. He was hitting Gervonta Davis with jabs, with right hands. He was backing Tank Davis up. He was going to the body. He was just as sharp as Tank Davis. Yes, Tank Davis has the reputation of being the KO artist with like a 90% knockout ratio. But Lamont Roach took Tank Davis's power well, too. So it's not like he was getting wobbled, shaken up. He was winning, I thought, majority of the rounds. And when you consider that knockdown, he should be the new WBA lightweight champion. He should be a 2-division champion right now. And look, I don't use the term often, but he got robbed of that win. And he was a pretty good sport about it. You know, they're talking about running it back. Tank Davis in the post-fight press conference said that running it back with Lamont Roach won't be next, but hopefully they could do it down the line. Lamont Roach should have won this fight. And I'm really kind of at a loss for words at how you explain this one away. How do you justify somebody literally taking a knee, the count starting, and then because they say, oh, no, I didn't mean to do that, or no, I had something in my eye, that they then waive the knockdown? That's like somebody in basketball stepping out of bounds and saying, oh, no, I was going to tie my shoe. And then the ref saying, okay, and then he says, play on. Okay, I know you stepped out of bounds, but since that explanation was good enough, we're going to let that ride. And you could draw any number of parallels in any sport where something happens that is a common occurrence and there is a very easy and straightforward protocol on how to adjudicate it. And for whatever reason, you no longer adhere to the letter of the law when it actually happens. It's almost like the ref was about to apologize, like, oh, my bad, Tank, for counting. That's how weird this was. And look, you might think that I'm hyperbolizing here. I think that there should be an investigation into that non-call. That is more than just a lack of good judgment, or so it seemed. It seemed like the referee, once Tank Davis started explaining something to him, said, well, I can't do that to Tank. That's what the action looked like. And everybody was stunned. The commentary was stunned. Lamont Roach was stunned. This was malpractice from an officiating standpoint. And was it Cassius Clay, well, then Cassius Clay, later Muhammad Ali, when he was fighting Sonny Liston, challenging for Sonny Liston's title? Wasn't that the fight where Ali, then Cassius Clay, had to fight with a substance or something that was disabling him from being able to see, like having something in his eye and having to fight through it? He wasn't able to just run over to his corner during the round and say, hey, wipe my face, I got something in my eye. Think about that. That's one of the most significant fights in boxing history. That is, I shook up the world fight. And he wasn't able to wipe his eye. He had to make it through that round with something impairing his vision, but fast forward to 2025, we could get a Gervonta Davis say, oh, you know what? No. Take a knee, run over to his corner, get a towel on the face, look at the ref, say, okay, I'm good. And the ref be okay with that without awarding Lamont Roach the knockdown. Again, crazy. And what's to stop fighters in the future having seen that footage, if they get hit with something hard and they're in trouble or something, and then they want to make a case that there is something wrong, like, either some injury or something in their eye, something distracting them, and then they want to take a knee and expect the ref to be okay with that. And it's not good enough to say, oh, we got it wrong on this one, because that doesn't explain why you acted like you don't know the rules as a referee. We've all seen this referee several times. I mean, they have like pretty hilarious memes and highlight reels of Steve Willis on YouTube, just because of his facial expressions and the overall look on his face when a lot of the action is taking place. So this isn't a rookie. This is somebody who's refereeing a Tank Davis championship pay-per-view fight, and this wasn't one of those, was it a slip? Was it a knockdown? It was evidently somebody taking a knee. And he said that it was, after the fight, he said that it was because there was a hair product that got in his eye. Yo, we see people with blood in their eye forced to fight. We see people with broken orbital bones. The boxer cannot take it upon himself or herself to call time because of something that's inconveniencing them, right? Even if it's an injury, if they have to call time because of the injury, the fight's over. That's how real it is when it comes to the action has to proceed until the referee decides that a time is warranted. Like if somebody gets a mouthpiece knocked out, the referee looks and finds a time that he feels is appropriate to say time, and then he fixes that. If there's a piece of string, that's detached or hanging from the glove, he finds the right time to call time and then to handle that. In this case, you had the superstar A-side fighter decide, no, for whatever reason, whether he was hurt by the punch, whether he was uncomfortable about something else, whether he was having a panic attack, whether, the pressure and the way that Lamont Roach was fighting him was too uncomfortable, or whether he got something in his eye that was a hair product. It is not on the fighter. The fighter doesn't have the latitude to call time when he sees fit for whatever reason. And the referee damn sure is not supposed to abide by that cavalier behavior and say, okay, we're not going to call that you taking a knee, an actual knee, a knockdown. This was one of the worst things that I've ever seen, where it was such a head scratcher to where I'm very disenchanted. Look, boxing breaks our hearts all the time. We see bad judging decisions all the time. We see fighters get robbed somewhat frequently. We see all these things, and there is no shortage of that in boxing. This one was a little bit different. This one wasn't a judgment call on, was it a slip? Was it a knockdown? This one wasn't hey, what were those judges watching in terms of who won which rounds and who shouldn't have gotten the love that they got on the scorecards. This wasn't that. This was something where there was something that was as clear as day to even people who aren't hardcore boxing fans. I had people like texting me asking, what the hell was that in the 9th round? Because it was confusing to everybody, because we saw Gervonta Davis take the knee, and then we saw the referee moments later say that it's okay. I'm not going to rule that a knockdown. Again, this is one of the worst things that I've seen in a boxing ring. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry for this lack of a setup on this video, but I just had to kind of shoot the quick and dirty on this one. And I mean, the fight card itself was pretty damn good. Gary Antuanne Russell had what I consider a career best performance against Jose Valenzuela, becoming the 140-pound WBA champion. And then we got Alberto Puello winning look, I thought Sandro Martin should have won that one, but they gave the decision to Puello. He retains his WBC 140-pound title. So we had one title change hands between the two 140-pound title fights, and we should have had a lightweight title change hands. And Lamont Roach should be the new lightweight champion. I thought Tank Davis lost that fight. Even without the knockdown, Tank Davis, you can make a strong argument for Lamont Roach winning the fight. I wouldn't have a problem with the draw if it wasn't for that 9th round. It was a close fight. There were a lot of rounds where it's like, I'm not even sure how to score that. We got some weird movement around the ring from Tank. Not that he hasn't moved in the past. Tank Davis did not really seem like himself in there, and I think that Lamont Roach is a lot better than we gave him credit for. So I don't want to take credit away from Lamont Roach by talking about how bad of a performance this was from Tank Davis. Lamont Roach did what he had to do. Like, he took the punches he had to take. He was, roughing Tank up. He was not afraid of Tank in there. Even when they would get in those clinches and the ref is about to break him up, he would get that one or two last punch in there at the final bell to end the round. Sometimes just slightly after the round ended, Lamont Roach would throw another one or two punches. So he was not here to play games. He meant business. And I thought that he handled his business. And I thought that the ninth round, whether you want to say, well, Lamont Roach didn't really do anything to earn that knockdown, I don't know that. I saw a punch land. You could look at the replay. I saw the punch land, and I saw Tank Davis take a step back and then go he pawed at his eye after the punch landed. Tank Davis went like that, so maybe it was the chemical. Maybe it was the punch, because the punch landed right on that eye. He took the knee. Again, the referee started counting and inexplicably stopped counting and decided that this was not a knockdown. Again, I am not down with that. I really don't know what to make of that. Does it change the way I even look at the sport of boxing? No, I mean, we knew that there are elements of corruption, and there's at least evidence of corruption. We've seen so many bizarre things take place. But this one, I don't think boxing or the powers that be or whoever can investigate it, I don't think this one should just be let go and just say, okay, well, that's just one of the wonky things that happens in the sport. Let's move on. I don't think boxing should just move on from this one. This one was really, really weird. They basically let the fighter officiate that moment of the fight. And that one just can't be explained away. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Without the knockdown. Well, first of all, the judges scored that ninth round. That should have been a 10-8 for Lamont Roach. They scored it a 10-9 for Tank Davis. And again, this was a majority draw. So you could tell very easily how that one impacted the scorecards of this fight. So, yeah, Lamont Roach should be the champion. He fought his butt off in there, too. He really, really impressed me. And every time I thought, okay, maybe now Tank's coming on and now Tank's going to start pouring on some more volume and you can see Tank start to try to walk him down, Lamont Roach wasn't having it. He started to counter Tank really effectively. For every one that Tank would land in an exchange, Lamont Roach would try to immediately come right back. And often that's when you could pay for it against Tank. When you start letting your hands go a little too much, Tank is excellent at finding those opportunities to knock your head off. He didn't find that opportunity here. Lamont Roach's defense was tight. He kept his gloves up every time he needed to. He moved when he needed to, but he was mostly the person taking the step forward, trying to get a fight going. So hats off to Lamont Roach. He should be the WBA lightweight champion right now. And Steve Willis, the powers that be in boxing, this needs to be investigated because this was not right. An actual knockdown, a knockdown that was easy to call, a non-judgment related knockdown, was just waved off because the fighter basically asked him to wave it off because he basically said, oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do it in that context. You can't do that, period. There's really nothing else to it. That was something that was illegal and illegally handled in the fight, and it cost Lamont Roach a championship. It cost Lamont Roach becoming the first person to defeat Gervonta Tank Davis and to take his title. That's not cool. No. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments. Let me know what you thought about the undercard fights as well. Again, Gary Antuanne Russell, I thought he was going to get that stoppage. I picked Russell to win that by stoppage. I thought that Valenzuela would hurt him at some point, but this was all Gary Antuanne Russell. This, again, I think was a career best performance. Valenzuela, as I was watching the fight, I was wondering, is this a case of somebody who was a lightweight going up to 140, fighting another lightweight turned 140 in Isaac Cruz, because Isaac Cruz isn't a real 140, and the guy that Isaac Cruz beat to earn that title wasn't a real 140. Raleigh Romero was another 135 guy who came up, had a shady decision. You want to talk about some more corruption, or at least evidence of what the hell's going on here? The way that Raleigh Romero beat Ishmael Barroso to earn that title, and then you had Isaac Cruz beating him, and then you had Valenzuela beating Isaac Cruz, and then now we've got Gary Antuanne Russell beating Jose Valenzuela. So I'm wondering if this was a case of none of these guys are really like true 140 guys. So when they get in there with a true big body, hard body 140, that their punch doesn't carry like it did in lightweight. So is Jose Valenzuela really, really formidable at 140 against the actual best 140 guys who've been there for a moment? Not these guys who are clearly 135 guys going up and fighting another lightweight at 140. I mean, we saw Isaac Cruz's last fight. That turned into like a blood and guts war against somebody who the public didn't really even know about. So Isaac Cruz at 140, I'm not sold on it. Jose Valenzuela, who, really shined against Chris Colbert and who was a knockout artist at 135. Chris Colbert was a 130 guy fighting Valenzuela at 135. And then he, in the rematch got demolished, devastating knockout. So Jose Valenzuela is a pretty good boxer. He hits hard. I don't know if he's ready for these 140 guys. He wasn't ready for Gary Antuanne Russell, and for that sustained pressure, that intelligent pressure, that two-handed attack, that good timing. Gary Russell Jr., the former longtime WBC featherweight champ, was giving some excellent instructions from the corner. My cousin actually texted me about that, saying, Gary Russell Jr. might be the best in the business, just in terms of the moment-by-moment usage of that minute between rounds to give very clear and specific instructions. I thought that Gary Russell Jr.'s commentary or instruction to his brother, Gary Antuanne Russell, was super interesting to hear. And I'd be curious to see if he continues to be a trainer even outside of the context of training his own family. I would like to see that. But yeah, props to Gary Antuanne Russell for becoming the new WBA 140-pound belt holder. And, congrats to Alberto Puello. Again, I kind of thought that Martin should have edged it, maybe even a draw, but Alberto Puello is still the WBC 140-pound title. And in the main event, we got one of the shadiest moments that I could ever recall seeing. Seriously. Let me know if I'm blowing this out of proportion. But again, there are other instances where it's a robbery and you're kind of scratching your head and you're saying, well, I've seen that before. And you just shake your head. You feel really bad for the guy who got robbed. And you're just like, damn, I hope he gets another big opportunity. That clearly wasn't right. But in this case, Lamont Roach should be headlining all over the sports world right now as the first guy to defeat Gervonta Tank Davis. But instead, they gave it a majority draw, which still blemishes Tank Davis's record. But again, I can't get over the 9th round. I can't get over that moment. I really can't. But Lamont Roach, again, fought a wonderful fight against one of the best in the business. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments while I take care of the baby. I'm actually in the middle of a move, so you might see a different background for the next couple of my videos, but I'm going to have the new setup squared away sooner rather than later because, yeah, we got to get to much more of this boxing coverage. But, yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.